We are in Laagri now, close to Tallinn, in a company called Chemifarm, with about 70 employees. And the turnover last year was 15 million, 1.5 million profit, and 85% of the production goes for export. And now we can take a look at what takes place downstairs. We are upstairs right now, but you can see that downstairs there's also work being done, and beautiful organized production company here in Laagri, and at the back they are establishing even more manufacturing premises, so the disinfectants and other products are in such high demand, and the company has been so well managed that it's a joy to see it all. And we are speaking to heads of the company, Oltjer and Timberg. Hello. Hello. Ruth and Kristo, what does it say on your business cards? What's your job title? I'm the chairwoman of the board. And we have this C-suite titles, CEO and COO, so I'm COO, basically the managing director. But you're equal, you jointly manage the company as two equal partners. Yes, for quite a few years already, for many years. How many years? Kristo, is it 9? No, not quite, but 8 years. 8 years to manage a company together. What was the company like 8 years ago? Well, it was much smaller, fewer people. It seems that there was as much work as now. And, well, when Kristo joined, then things got much easier for me. And you are also his mother-in-law. So Kristo came on board through a different route, actually. Well, no, actually, because Kristo was already working with us earlier when he was in school, and when he went to study in Glasgow, then he continued to work on our projects. But when he graduated in Scotland and came back, then he went to work for KPMG. Actually, I've been on board from earlier, and I was working on Asian projects when I was in university. So actually you found your spouse through work? No, I found my spouse earlier too. So it's all been a natural flow. But it seems quite untraditional, Ruth, that you work with your son-in-law. I don't know. It has been so natural for me. I don't really think of Kristo as my son-in-law, very seldom. Yeah, that's good. He has always been a member of the family for such a long time already, so. But let's take a step back, because what's very interesting is how did you come up with all of this? Ruth, you have a very interesting background. It's not random that you have established Chemifarm and produced such pure products. Where did it all get started? It's a long story, really. I'm actually a doctor. I graduated from University of Tartu and University of Kaunas, and I worked at a hospital during university, and I was a nurse on call, and we of course had disinfectants, and they caused allergies. And I didn't know any better, but I ended up in Cardiff years ago in a therapy center for pregnant women, and I suddenly realized that the disinfectants did not cause allergies, and the air was so clean at the hospital, and I started looking into what they used, and I started importing these products for myself. And then colleagues started asking for them, that they want similar products. And it snowballed. And since I had close ties to Latvia and Lithuania, then they started asking, the doctors started asking me that order them for us as well. And when Lithuania started ordering, then I thought I need to establish a company. I cannot just do it half-winded. When was that? 97, so many years ago. So we this year celebrated 25th anniversary. And well, inhaling chemicals and using them is no joke. When we walked around your production premises today, then the air was really clean, and there was no artificial scents, and you suffered from asthma. So working at the hospital really was bad for you. Well, yes, but right now I'm fine. Life continues. Coming back to the tandem management, then a couple of days ago I realized that this is quite a suitable term, that I haven't worked as a doctor, then doctors always ask for a second opinion. It's something you do on a regular basis, because the doctors cannot make mistakes. And sometimes the mistake they make are final. So I came to Chemifarm and had to manage it alone. Then I missed this. But it's difficult to find people you match with so well. So we are of different age and different gender and different position. One is the mother-in-law, the other is the son-in-law, but we have the same values, and I think that is what this tandem management relationship can be built on. What are your values? When you look at Chemifarm, then honesty, trust, and diligence, innovation management, science-based thinking. And we look at everybody as a member of our family, and we have said it ourselves. We try to cultivate it, and others who have visited us have also noted that. Yes, and it's been that way from the very beginning, that when we started we had 12 people and we did everything together. So soon your family will expand when new production premises are completed. So you have a very large family, and if you can retain this sense of family with a big number of employees, then that's very special, as we like it. How do you take care of this sense of family? Our attitude towards everyone is like we treat our family members. It's not that you're not allowed to speak to somebody, or we have examples of some years ago, somebody from production or warehouse left, went to a competitor, another company, and came back after a while and was very happy with us, and said that there I was just a number, but here the production manager knows my name. And so we try to maintain this personal relationship, but also all kinds of events that don't seem very important, but actually they are, be it summer days or celebrating birthdays. All these things we celebrate together, and we try to take care of each other. Right now you have 70 employees. When you hire more people, then it'll be a cake every day. Exactly, that's how it is. And recently what we've done is that we celebrate birthdays during the last days of the month. But it doesn't mean that we don't congratulate people on the correct day as well. And we have Facebook pages where we can congratulate each other and share information that seems interesting for others as well. And when somebody has a concern, they can always come and ask, and you can go to managers on any level. Since you have family ties as well, then do you bring employees, families to your company events like summer days? Well, both ways. We don't organize family events that bring all your family members that will get very big. But yes, you can bring your partner and try to sort of have a mix of different types of events. How have you divided up work? It's just sort of evolved somehow. It's not that we sit down and divide up the tasks. So do you go against the theory in some way? And how has it turned out? So Chris is involved in-house with management, and I focus more on new strategies and public sector relations and external relationships. But we also sort of cover all areas that are necessary. That sometimes say that, like, can you go to that event tomorrow? And I was about to say the same, that I have tried to look in-house and looks outside the company more. But like she said, you get a call in the morning that today you need to give an interview, or we need to go there and meet someone, and or vice versa, that I don't have time to speak to somebody or organize something, then it just sort of evolves somehow. And over time, certain topics that one deals with more and the other less, so, and it sort of turned out the way it has. But we have the privilege to speak to the two of you together. That's not very usual. Yes. So it's interesting tandem management where you do things alone. Well, it's a danger we need to mitigate, that we don't do everything together, because then there's no point. If we solve the same problems together all the time, then you can do it alone. Yes. And the idea of this tandem management is that we can resolve situations quickly, we can move forward quickly, and it accelerates the developments. And you mentioned that one of your pillars and successes is about values, shared values. But what are the personal traits when a young entrepreneur or just entrepreneur is watching your interview and thinks that maybe I haven't had the best partners in life, that there have been some differences of opinion, but they do want to work with somebody, then what should they pay attention to? What personal characteristics should be the same, and what should be different? What did you say? There are many, actually. First, a team player. It's very difficult to be in a tandem with authoritarian management. You have to take others into consideration, and you need to have trust. Because what is a tandem? It's sharing, learning, being willing to do all of this work.
So one thing I would like to add is that you don't have one formula that this is the person you need to choose and then it will function. It's just you have to make sure that things click between you regardless what is the system. But one thing we'll have to understand is that if you want to share the management burden, you want to do this with someone, then you have to be ready to let go of certain topics, because especially, well, it's all the levels, but if you talk about the top-level management level, then all the top-level managers are a little bit egoistic. They want to make their decisions and so forth, and this is of course natural, but if you would like somebody to help you, then you have to be able to let go, because otherwise nobody wants to be with you there. This is the reflection which comes with tandem management. It's like going to a coach that you talk about your ideas and then you see what the coach will answer. So where you will end up. Because we communicate actually a lot. Although we might be working on different fields. Yesterday we had a meeting which ended about at 10:30, which is not sensible for a meeting, but now if we needed to do that for today, then this is how it was. So reflection you get sometimes. Is it sometimes a bit of a shock that the reflection is such that you understand you don't want to continue like this, you have to change things. But it can be uncomfortable because somebody else has reflected you very honestly. No, there is no discomfort because at least I have not felt it. But yes, indeed, sometimes we see that you have to be able to discuss your doubts. And I very honestly say that, look, I've got something like this, and I think we need to look into it a bit more. So this is how it works. You put these risks and doubts on the table, and at the other hand, it means that you risk more than you would if you were alone. Because I would have not dared to do many things so quickly and to such an extent as we've done that. Why is that? Because otherwise there's nobody to ask, because you don't have these other managers or top-level managers who you can just go on the street and talk. So it's good to have somebody within your company with whom you can discuss matters. And sometimes we expand our teams, and so our tandem can be sometimes 5 people. There is something you said that you talked about the speed, that you can get things done faster, which is somewhat incredible because you think that alone will be a lot faster. When Risto came to work in Chemifarm, then I thought, what task I will give him, but I didn't have to give him anything because the next day he said that your processes are not managed. And then I said, okay, fine. Your hands are free. And now we have to organize the process management, which is hard work. And if you have to continue something else, which is always urgent, then it tends to be something which is pushed aside. What does it mean if you talk about process management? Because my background as a business consultant, because this is what I did in KPMG, and this is why I worked with processes. And many will be upset or do not agree when I say that in management, it doesn't really matter if it's financial company, production company, any kind of company, but these pieces are more or less the same. If you talk about your processes, you have resources, you have input, you have output, and of course the company worked and everything was functioning. But if you have ambitions to grow faster, do other things, then these things have to be more professional with this company. And so this was the road we had to take. Because we organized this production process on the production floor, so we reorganized the shop floor. And we did that many times because I think we rearranged it 3 or 4 times to test what's the best way. And the 2 objectives, one is that the processes will be organized, first of all, mapping them and describe them. how do you do things? And the other thing, the other side was that we want to make sure people get used to change, that change is okay, and change is a normal process or situation where we are constantly. So we had to be a bit forceful at the beginning, but later I went to the production and I could see how people were moving things by themselves, and now it's perfectly normal that this is done on all levels. So this is where we had all the IT systems we have put into use, the calculations, how to make work easier, because processes are not much else, but you want to make things more logical and better. These 3D models, virtual reality twins. So we have done that moving house, and Risto was responsible for that because this was really incredible how much it gave us. Because we moved within 5 days the entire factory. We set up in a new place. 5 days later, everything worked. But before that, there was a lot of work. How to establish everything on 3D model, how people move. So we arranged the production on the screen many times. What is the location of people? What do they do? And when the moving day arrived, because there was everything was put into the right place, and nothing was put along the wall side. So we played it all through with the virtual reality. Now you come from here, where exactly this pallet will go. Now you don't have space, so we have to reorganize it. And so during the construction, we had to actually rearrange some pipes and stuff. But it was about half a year preparation. But the end result was that whatever arrived, it arrived at the right place, it was connected up, and it was done. So this is it's the best example, Ruti, you have said, that we have different generations who are working together. So today, for young people, it's very natural to use these opportunities which are provided by the world of technology. That's what I wanted to say. I think Chris has played a lot of Minecraft because you have to build boxes there. There's some rooms. Actually, I've not played at all. So we can't tell kids that you can keep playing. But it's not wrong, of course, because it's an exercise in logic. I've always enjoyed that. At least you've been playing with Legos. Last year, I learned to program. At least I started with a half-a-year course because I could not keep up with the developers. So I needed to understand what is the language that they use. Indeed, you can see how little we use this technology miracle, because we still want to use paper and pen, and we make mistakes because we don't know how to involve right people, or you're afraid to involve younger people who have a completely different way of thinking. So that means that you're an excellent example of how you open the doors to all the generations and using these differences to its maximum. And this is the key to your efficiency. Yes, I agree. And interesting thing is that you're also part of the Defense League. Yes, indeed. I'm quite busy in the military field as well. So how does that benefit you? I have taken this as management school as a reserve officer. I have managed different units. So the comparison is that the exercises we do, and when we do it as a training field, then the feedback comes immediately. And if you're able to synthesize that, then they apply in your civilian life as well. So if you are in defense, or if you attack, if you go in this direction, you get beaten up, then you know that you have to send out the scout team first. or if you want to go to a market, you want to make sure that you have 1/3 of reserve and communicating with people as well. So I think a misunderstanding which you hear a lot, that everything is very simple in the military. There's an order, somebody tells you what to do, but it's actually not quite so. And it's even less so in the Defense League because everybody there is a volunteer. And if you have stupid orders and if the officer does not know what to do, then nobody would follow your lead. And this is also true for the life. And Kristo is very good in crisis because crisis is what gets him going. When COVID crisis started, and life was very complicated and we had a fast growth. And Kristo created military headquarters for us. Everything was along the followed orders. It meant information management because at the beginning, this COVID crisis was a shock for everybody. It was overnight. One day a phone started ringing and never stopped. Sharing information was the hardest because every hour the situation changes. What are the products? What are the raw materials? Who is healthy, who's not? So how you can keep everybody in the same field of information. So we were trying to invent things and then we realized that so we decided that we have an information board so that all the information is there, what is missing, what are the priorities. So we were able to get people to work in the same way. Was it physical? No, it's a virtual world. So if we have a crisis situation, that we have an officer and a doctor, the best team, because doctors are used to make fast decisions where somebody's life depends on your quick decision. And when you have a military officer, they also have to make very quick decisions on the battlefield because a lot depends on that. So it looks like this situation helped you to grow the company and gave you a new set of wings. What was your growth? It was a 3-4-fold growth in 2020. And the most exciting part was that it was not throughout the year, but the acceleration took place over a few weeks or months. So 3 weeks, and then we thought we were very slow, like do something to make it faster. Because demand was huge, and it was an incredible situation where the European Union borders closed down. All the contracts were cancelled, and we had no other suppliers but us, but all the people who asked all the time what's the situation, but they were willing to help. And then I felt we had support of the government. But I would like to see the same without the crisis as well. So we have people who work for the state helping the entrepreneurs. But we were supporting the state as well. So we carried some of the functions of the state where we were keeping an eye on things and react to acute problems in Estonia. So in Kuressaare or the Saaremaa island, there was an outbreak, then we needed to react right away. And of course, we talked to the local government, to the hospitals. So we talked about all the needs in Estonia, trying to keep some reserves. So if there's an outbreak, we could react to that. So this is where the cooperation happened. So we had the crisis packages, which were for the GPs, for the dentists, for hospitals, because we could not produce all the hundreds of products because there was a crisis. And at the end of the day, the warehouse was empty. So we had to be able to distribute it. And when we got the first call from Saaremaa Island saying that the situation is very bad and people are locked up and they are sick and they need disinfection methods than with the disinfectants. So we were working all night, and so I was there by next morning by 10. Talking about the scales, then usually we had 50 to 70 orders per day. Then we had 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 orders. So how can you then decide who will get it or not? So you have to decide who is not going to, who is going to be moved out of the queue. I think that was the most important decision. We set the priorities. What is the order of our clients? So it was hospitals, any kind of treatment facility. I can't now remember it anymore, but any question we had, do we send something, how much we send? Then there was a chart, look at the graph, and this is how you make a decision. And then we made a decision. The first we lost our Asian market because we could not deliver them anything, because we would have not had any labor or space, and we had also shortcoming in raw materials. That's what I wanted to know, that you were able to guarantee that Estonia had necessarily raw materials. But that's why we changed things as well. So you wanted to make sure that you had a good product. That was the other side of the crisis, because on one hand we received feedback that you are fine, you have lots of money. But our people, we were sitting there for hours when they were crying because everything was very tight. We were under a lot of stress. And raw materials was another side of this crisis, because demand had like 1,000 times higher than usual. But we did not have the raw material. We were hunting for the raw material all day long. And we could never know what we were going to do the next day, because that was a daily process. And this is the chart we had on the wall. So that means that your toothpaste changed. Not the toothpaste, but you had lots of different brands. But then we got down to 10, for example. So without Kristo, and you would have had a crisis. I don't even want to think about it, but if you were to think about it, what it would have meant? I don't know who would have been able to replace Kristo. Well, I like to think that there's some other people as well who would have taken over the reins. But if it's a crisis, was there no overlap? No, that was not even possible. There was no time for it, because time was very short. Good example was how we divided up the communication when we worked from 7 until midnight. As a first thing, we made phone calls, we agreed on this important topic, what is the message? So it'll be the same, because it was clear that we could not talk to all the press and partners, so we had to divide it up. So, but we need to talk the same thing, we need to say the same thing. So we agreed in the morning, and this was the message we had all day. And then the same thing next day. So if we have a situation where we have potential tandem partners and they meet later in life and they don't have this advantage that, Ruth, you have known Kristo since he was very young, so you knew who he was and what his best characteristics are, and there were many surprises as well. But what should be the first steps people should take? If we now listen to the crisis management, then how can you find this tandem partner for yourself? There is no other way. You have to just find out. So it's you just have to test and fail and try it out. You know that this person is honest, And you have to have the dialogue, you have the reflection. So what gives you the best push, or where you go when it comes to profit or money? I don't think this is what you use as a push. It's just an outcome. Because for me, what is important is I have to be able to enjoy it myself, and I have to enjoy the outcome. I'll never be able to set aside my way of thinking as a doctor, and doctors are there to save lives. So therefore, we have looked at the Asian countries. We can see hospital infections and mortality are very high. So we look at the MRSI indexes. So this is the, we look at the, this kind of infection which is, becomes resistant to antibiotics, which causes mortality. So people don't really know about that. Hospital infection is very dangerous. We are used to it that it's very low, and this is not something we worried about. This means that you are in a hospital and get infected with the bacteria, which is resistant to antibacterials. And people die because of it. In Estonia and the Nordic countries, it's 1 to about 5%, very low. But if you go towards Asia, then it's 30, 40, 50, 60%. So this is a serious problem. So have you been able to win back to your Asian market, which you had to leave aside during the coronavirus? Yes, we're working on that, but since the borders were just open, because there was no freedom like we enjoyed here. But in Asia, I'm sure you have many competitors, big production companies. So if you have a small Estonian company, how can you manage to get through to the Asian market? Well, across the world, we have a lot of competitors, and one of the hardest markets to compete is the Scandinavian markets, and Sweden. Everything is very transparent. So all the hygiene and the top level of medicine, and if we think that we can supply Karolinska Hospital, and if we can win Swedish procurements, and we can win over competitors who are much older and bigger than we are and take away the market share, that means that we're doing something right and our products are good. So this is not our concern, how we can do things elsewhere. What has been the main factor? How have you won the procurement? It's the product, not the price. Yes, of course, you look at the price-quality relationship, because they look at the samples, not for one, but for 5 departments, and then they decide. So there is a scale, a point scale, which they use, more than the price. But of course, price is also important for procurements, because this is something we need to monitor all the time, looking at the input prices, which is important on a daily basis. And due to the crisis, we strengthened our supply chain. So we took some more people who deal with the supply. And so you don't want to get stuck with the problems related to supply chain. So what is a trigger for you? I think it's a possibility to do amazing things. So I believe that people who work for us, we all want to do good things. It sounds like a startup mentality. Yes, indeed, we have a kind of startup type of thinking, because we always have some projects which are startup projects, and then we can see where exactly they end up. So what is typical is that if we have people who start working with a big mission, and they want to work in the cosmetic sector or medicine sector, and they create a really good product which has excellent quality of raw material. Everything is the best, and then there's a moment in time when the company grows and there are investors and there's a greater need to produce and to earn more profit. And then you want to reduce costs. So how does it work for you? So you grow, you have a more production space. So how have you looked at the maintenance of quality? It's a lead principle for us, and it's an important thing for us. We said this is no surrender in quality, but what you discussed right now is a strategy. How much do we want to grow and optimize? So, and our choices that we want, we don't need to grow, but there's no surrender in quality.
What have been your most painful lessons? We haven't any extremely painful lessons, I would say. I think we've done quite well. Nothing to really highlight. Well, every company has some issues. You just overcome them and move forward. Maybe one lesson I did have, I think it was before Kristo, when the head of the Latvian company wanted to take over the company, and then we got back the trademark through court. And then I felt that I am not going to go into it because like thousands of snow shovels had been purchased and nobody could find them, etc., all kinds of problems. And then I just left it up to the lawyers to take care of. And we decided we will go forward, and we got our team together. And I think we regained the market in a month. And so it really taught me a lot that don't get stuck in things like this. You just need to keep going. Get stuck in what? Problems. We could have kept looking at what was done in the Latvian company exactly, but I thought I'm not going to waste my time on it. There are other people who can take care of it, and my work is to regain the market and the customers. I think that you outlined the right thing, that is getting stuck. And when we speak about management and tandem management and conflicts and human relations, then this is where you need to understand that you shouldn't get stuck in conflicts. Otherwise, you cannot do it together. Otherwise, you cannot move forward at the right pace. That's probably something to abide by. I feel that I have changed in the past 8 years. I've learned to let go of many things. Earlier, I would have been stuck in them for longer and wanted to do things my own way. But so we might say that we're able to forgive quickly, and it's not about forgiveness, I would say. Just letting go. Before making a decision, you can argue, but after the decision is made, then the team must remain a team, and you need to let go of not getting your way. What was your last dispute that you can remember? I don't think we've really had any. I'd just say differences of opinion, but how sharp is a difference of opinion? How does it end? It's maybe more complicated in our case because we also have the family dimension, and nobody wants to not communicate and be in an argument. So it makes it complicated, but at the same time, you maybe speak things through more. We haven't had big fights. Maybe one thing that we've learned or what we do is that you don't argue on the basis of emotion, because there are situations where Ruth wants to do one thing and I want to do something different. We want to have different opinion on who to recruit or a cost item, and neither is willing to do things differently, and one has to sort of give leeway. And it's been about time usually, like should we do it right now or later? So how quickly is it resolved when you have differences of opinion? It depends on the topic, but these are not big problems. And if not immediately, then the next day.
Ei, no kui on midagi veel arutada, siis võid võtta aega ja siis võib-olla tahad mingit lisainformatsiooni saada.
Yeah, maybe you need time to collect additional information as well. Is there something else about tandem management that you'd like to learn, evolve in? Do you see that there's something missing still? Well, being in a tandem means learning on a daily basis. You resolve issues and you always learn. Today has been instructive as well. And yesterday, what did you learn today? Thoroughness. How to be thorough. We found that we need to do more homework. Yes, we're preparing for the future, what we are going to be working on over the next years, and we have grand plans. We are planning to invest millions and millions to move into the pharmaceutical industry. And since you are such a fast developing company, then there's something that I did not see yet in the production space, that the people who work behind the desks have the bikes that generate power, and I think we cannot generate quite as much as we need, but it's a good idea. We have tested all kinds of cool things, and self-driving logistics robots and digital twin, and developed all kinds of systems and virtual reality. Often we don't know where they will end up, but maybe it's not a bad idea to use those bikes that generate electricity. Right now we're thinking of solar panels. Yes, that was my next question, that solar panels are more realistic, and are you planning to install them on the roofs? Yes, we do consider all this. We are about to launch quite large-scale construction, and we can put all kinds of things up on the roof. I'm sure you've also spoken to people who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs or not, maybe some former doctors. No, there are so few doctors that they shouldn't become entrepreneurs. But what are your words of encouragement for people to enter business? Well, I got this question when I became an entrepreneur. I continued as a doctor, but I also became an entrepreneur, and I was asked, like, how do you feel now? What are you thinking? And I felt that I don't have anything right now, and if it's not a success, then I'm not really losing anything, that there's nothing to lose. But entrepreneurship is a way of life, and it's a nice way of life. What do you mean by that? Well, it's with you 24/7. You walk around, you see opportunities everywhere, and notice things you would not have before. We are very grateful to you that you are so entrepreneurial and inspiring, and you shared your wisdom with us. My takeaway is that processes must be organized. It's all about processes. And I was walking around, and Ruth's desk was clean. Is your desk clean as well? Let's say that it is. Is it? Yes, it is. It's tidy. So, looking at your efficiency, then maybe I should tidy up my desk. Wonderful. I'm all for that. And thank you very much. And you gave lots of encouragement and good ideas to give things a try. Yes, it's all so very simple. Wonderful note to finish on. Thank you once again.